The real reason you're tired. You're not tired because you've done too much. You're tired because you've been carrying what was never yours to hold. The noise, the storms that come out of nowhere and shake your peace. Those are not your burdens. That scattered, restless feeling, it doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from trying to control what was never in your hands. The weather, the world, the words of others. These are distractions that drain you when you try to hold them too tightly. But listen carefully. Peace isn't found out there. It's not in the approval of others, the calmness of your surroundings, or the praise you receive. Peace lives within. The moment you stop chasing control over the uncontrollable and shift your focus inward to what you can command, everything changes. That's when your true power begins to rise, quietly, steadily, from the inside out. In the next few moments, you'll understand something that can shift the course of your life. Your peace, your power, your progress, all depend on one thing: focusing only on what you can control. The foundation of control. Control begins with one thing: awareness. Every day, you are surrounded by forces you cannot command. The weather, traffic, delays, disappointments, and the moods of people who barely understand themselves. But there is one kingdom that belongs entirely to you: your mind. And if you do not rule it, someone or something else will. The man who drifts through life, blaming others, waiting for perfect conditions, hoping things will get better on their own, has not yet discovered his power. Tila. But the man who stops, who looks inward and says, "This is mine to control," is the man who begins to write his own destiny. Control doesn't begin in your head. It begins in your mind, with clarity, awareness, and discipline. You might say, "But what if the world around me is unfair?" Yes, it might be. But ask yourself, what does that change about your next move? Your breath, your posture, your choice to rise. Those are yours. Do not surrender what belongs to you. A disciplined mind is a liberated man. When you know what's within your power, you'll stop chasing shadows and start shaping outcomes. Awareness is not weakness. It is the starting point of all self-mastery. So ask yourself now, are you controlling your life or just reacting to it? The power of attitude. You own your attitude. There is a power no man can steal from you. No failure can take, and no misfortune can break. It is your attitude, your perspective, your inner tone, your lens on life. And the moment you realize it's yours, you unlock a strength greater than circumstance. Most people walk around defeated, not because they've lost, but because they've allowed their attitude to lose shape. They wait for things to change so they can feel better. But the wise man, he chooses to feel better, so things begin to change. You might say, how can I control my attitude when I feel overwhelmed? And I ask you, when has being overwhelmed ever solved anything? Your attitude is the bridge between where you are and where you want to go. Burn that bridge with negativity, and you'll find yourself stranded. To control your attitude, begin each day with a declaration. Today, I respond with purpose. I greet challenges with poise. I protect my peace. This is not empty talk. It is a contract with yourself. And like any agreement, it must be honored with action. Let's say you walk into a room filled with complaints, bitterness, and hopeless talk. Do you join them? Or do you lift the tone? Your attitude is contagious if you wield it with intention. You become the thermostat, not the thermometer. You don't adjust to the room. You set the temperature. So ask yourself, have you been adjusting to the world, or adjusting the world around you? Every man faces adversity, but not every man walks through it with dignity. That difference lies in one choice: attitude. Carry yours like armor. Master your morning, command your day. Every day, the world begins again, and the way you step into it decides everything. The man who controls his morning doesn't need to chase success. Success begins to chase him. But what do most people do? They rise late. They wander into the day with no command, no clarity, no center. They hand their power to chance and wonder why the day defeats them. You, however, must be different. When the sun is low and the world is quiet, you have the greatest opportunity to shape your spirit. In those early hours, you decide what kind of man will walk into the world, a drifter or a force. Start simple. Rise with discipline. Sit in silence. Think with direction. Speak to yourself with strength. These are not small victories. They are the bricks that build an unshakable mind. Picture this. You rise while the world sleeps. You stretch. You think. You write your goals. Thank you, preferir clouds. You review your commitments. You don't race, you align. And when the day begins, you're not surprised. You're prepared. So ask yourself, how often have you handed your day over to chance? What if you reclaimed the first hour as your own? What would shift in your confidence, your pace, your presence? The men who command great fortunes often began by commanding their mornings. The man who wins is not always the fastest, but the one who prepares with the most consistency. The morning is your throne. Sit on it with intention. Response over reaction, regain your power. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that defines the outcome. Most men live like puppets, pulled by every external event, every comment, every delay. That is not control. That is captivity. There's a difference between reaction and response. Because reaction is fast, emotional, and often regretted. Our response is deliberate, calm, and controlled. The man who reacts is ruled. The man who responds is the ruler. You might say, sometimes I can't help it. Budge back home. But that's exactly where you must grow. You can help it, but only if you train your mind before the storm arrives. Emotional discipline isn't born in chaos. It's forged in the morning, sharpened by stillness, and tempered through reflection. You are not a puppet. You are not a leaf in the wind. You are a thinking, choosing being. And every moment you pause and ask, is this worthy of my energy? You reclaim your power. Imagine this. Someone insults you, speaks harshly. Your pride flares. But instead of striking back, you pause. You measure. You respond with wisdom. Who then is in control? You are. And you win? Not by overpowering, but by mastering yourself. So ask yourself, do you lead your emotions, or do you follow them? Do you give power to every irritation, every trigger, or do you choose where your attention goes? To respond instead of react is to rise above the noise. It is to carry yourself like a man of thought, not impulse. Because in that space, variability, between stimulus and response, there lies your greatness. Focus on effort, not outcome. Every man wants results. Wealth to command freedom, achievement to stand tall, recognition to be seen and remembered. But most men chase the fruit, forgetting that fruit does not grow without roots. The applause, the victories, the rewards, they are all outcomes. The real work happens in silence, hidden beneath the surface, where effort is planted and watered, day by day, season after season. You do not control the fruit. You control the soil, the seed, and the hand that works the ground. Many abandon their dreams too early, taking silence for failure and delay for denial. They look for instant proof that their work matters, and when the proof doesn't come quickly, they panic. They quit, but they forget. You cannot force a tree to bloom on your schedule. You cannot bully nature, but you can show up daily to tend the process. You can till the ground again and again, knowing your power lies not in the harvest, but in your commitment to plant. And when you ask, "But what if I fail?" remember this: failure is not defined by results. Failure is defined by your response to resistance. If you gave all you had, your focus, your energy, your consistency, you didn't fail. You endured the drought. You weathered the storm. What you call failure may be success still under construction. That's why you must fall in love with effort, not as a means to an end, but as a way of life. Discipline must be built around the doing, but the reward, the man who trains when no one watches, the writer who writes even when unread, the craftsman who perfects his skill in silence. Dr. Puzzle and these are the builders of greatness. They don't wait for praise. People they become, the kind of men who don't need it, because effort sharpens them, shapes them, and prepares them for the moment. The world finally takes notice. But ask yourself honestly, have you been playing to win, or playing to be seen winning? Have you measured your worth by results instead of repetition? If so, return to the beginning, back to the grind, back to the act of giving your best, even when no reward shows up. Don't wait to be validated. Don't wait for numbers, trophies, or claps. Let effort itself validate you. Become the man who doesn't quit. Greatness isn't born in comfort. It is forged in resistance, hammered by struggle, and refined through the refusal to quit. Most men stop when it gets hard. They pause when progress slows. They quit because they confuse effort without reward as failure. But the man who endures, the one who stays when others flee, who rises after defeat, who fights again when no one is watching, that is the man the world cannot break. You must become that man. Pain is not your enemy. Doubt is not your downfall. Quitting is, because pain builds strength. Doubt sharpens clarity. But quitting, it kills possibility before it can bloom. There will be days when your mind screams, "Why keep going?" Your progress will feel invisible. Your energy will be drained, and your faith will flicker like a dying flame. In those moments, remember this: you are not training for comfort. You are training for character. Every rep, every early morning, every silent hour spent building what no one sees. They are stacking brick upon brick. Trudge back home toward the man you're destined to become. Most people give up because they're addicted to the feeling of fast results. But legends are built slowly, with brutal patience and relentless commitment. You don't rise by motivation alone. You rise by discipline. Discipline is doing what must be done, especially when you no longer feel like doing it. So, if you've been waiting for the right moment, the right feeling, the perfect spark, so the right moment is now. The spark is action, and the proof is in your persistence. Let others be remembered for their talent. You will be remembered for your grit. When it gets tough, you get tougher. When it hurts, you grow stronger. When nothing seems to be working, you keep working, because quitting is not an option. Not for you. Not anymore. Protect your peace. Guard your energy. You cannot build anything strong in a storm of constant noise. Your mind needs stillness. Your spirit needs space. Most people live in reaction mode. Every notification, every opinion, every distraction pulls at their focus like ropes tied to a sinking ship. But if you want to build something meaningful, you must learn to say one powerful word. No to endless scrolling, the draining conversations. No to chaos disguised as connection. No to people who confuse access with entitlement. Your energy is not unlimited. Spend it wisely. Protect your mornings. Protect your routine. Protect your peace. You can be available to the world or accountable to your goals, but you cannot be both. If your phone gets more attention than your purpose, don't be surprised when your purpose feels distant. If you're constantly reacting, how can you ever lead? Peace is not passive. It is power under control. You create it by choosing your thoughts, setting your boundaries, and refusing to give your energy to everything that demands it. You don't need to explain your silence. You don't need to defend your focus. You don't need to justify choosing yourself. Stillness is not weakness. Silence is not avoidance. It is strategy. You cannot hear your calling when you're drowning in noise. So step back. You need plug. Breathe. Let the world chase noise. You chase clarity. And when you protect your peace, you move with power. You speak with direction. And you live with purpose.